From there, we move on to yet another view. Mr. Jiti Ogunye needs no introduction. He's often at the forefront of speaking out against the ills in the society, and he has issues with the way that Amasa went about insisting on her rights and the dimensions this whole debate has taken.
The point is that if you want rules and regulations governing the call to bar ceremony in the law school, rules that are set by the Council of Legal Education, managing the law school, and by presumably the body of benchers. If you want those rules to be revised, particularly as it relates to the wearing of the hijab, how do you do that? My recommendation is that you do that if you feel strongly about that rule, specifically as it relates to wearing of the hijab. You do that by making a representation to the Council of Legal Education ahead of a call to bar ceremony. You can hire a lawyer. We're told now that there are decisions of the Court of Appeal on that subject. One decided by the Ilorin Division of the Court of Appeal, and I'm referencing the case of Kwara State College of Education and Bashirat Saliu and two others, decided in 2009, and the one in the Lagos Division of the Court of Appeal. So you can get the certified true copies of those judgments and attach, and then make a representation to the law school and request specifically that that rule, be revised because you feel strongly about it, because you believe that is going to infringe on your right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religions as stipulated in Section 38 of the Constitution. You can make that representation ahead of that period. And if you didn't make that representation, and indeed you actually stopped, you can also quietly then go to the court, approach the court, and sue the Council of Legal Education. You may join the body of benchers and then seek a redress. But what happened that day was a defiance of authorities and a confrontational approach. I don't condemn confrontation if it is legitimate and reasonable. But that incident has now spiraled into a national debate in which people have now started taking side, making statements that are very divisive. And rather than see that as an isolated, alleged infringement of the right of one person, a religion, at least as espoused by the chieftains of that religion, is now claiming that it's an affront against it, which shouldn't be. And to add to the unfortunate developments that we witnessed since then, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, who is a member of the body of benchers, who is a member of the Council of Legal Education, and whom I believed attended that ceremony, sent out a tweet post by which he enlightened the public that the issue of hijab is neither nor there. After all, his daughter, who graduated at the New York Bar, was permitted to wear hijab without providing a context that in the United States of America, lawyers are not compelled to wear any wig and gown. Judges wear their gowns or judicial robes, but they do not even wear wigs at all. That's what we have in that jurisdiction. So my general view is that while we can talk about the principles of updating our rules, of reflecting our diversity, our plurality, our sensibilities, cultural, religious, whatever, while we can even debate the archaic nature of some of these rules, particularly as regards the robe, the attire of legal practitioners in Nigeria, suggesting, for example, that we have to discuss it, because even in England, only recently, in July, that matter was attended to, and so they are going to jettison the wearing of the wig and gown in certain respect in that jurisdiction. While we can debate all that, I didn't see any solid reason why we should turn that into a religious issue that people now have to be queuing about, calling one another names and saying all sorts of things.
So going forward, how do you think that this matter can best be resolved?
I refuse to accept a situation in which those who are outside the legal profession, no matter how Solomonic they think they are, should be the one to dictate to the legal profession how best to tackle the matter. The matter ought not to be resolved by the prescriptions of religious zealots, or those who are Islamophobic, or those who believe in unrestrained exercise of fundamental rights. No, not by those ones. The legal profession is a profession of reformers. Yes, we have archaic rules and laws still, but we are reformers. You know, every time you hear about High Court civil procedural rules being reformed, criminal justice system being reformed, and so on and so forth, and laws are constantly updated. So we know what reform is about, and I think that taking that subject and dealing with it may not necessarily mean that the profession will be stampeded into jettisoning the rule as it regards not wearing of the hijab during the call to the bar, you know, and in practice. But at least it will mean that that profession has sat back to, you know, take that question in a very sober and rational and reasonable manner, looking at all the angles and all the dimensions in the light of emerging, you know, preferences, Nigeria being a plural and diverse society. And I think that the Council of Legal Education can reflect this moving forward, and then come out with a unified position, which will be the position of the legal profession on that very topical issues.